The market doesn't wait for your mood. It doesn't care how you slept, what you lost yesterday, or what you're trying to fix today. But your mind does. It carries every emotion, every unfinished thought, every ounce of tension you refuse to release. And if you bring that mind straight into the market, you're not trading anymore, you're reacting. This episode isn't about strategies. It's about states. It's about what happens inside you before the first trade, before the first chart, before the chaos begins. Because bad days don't start with red numbers. They start with unbalanced minds. Today we build a way out of that, a simple conscious system to begin again when the day feels heavy. This is the cold start protocol, how to start bad days right and meet the market with clarity, not chaos. You're listening to Mind Over Markets, where the chart ends and the mind begins. You wake up and something already feels off. The air is heavy. The body feels slower. You check the time you're late. You open your terminal and the first chart you see is red. Your mind starts talking. Not again. I can't have another day like yesterday. And before the market even opens, you're already behind. That's how bad days begin. Not with losses, but with tension. Not with red candles, but with the emotional residue of the day before. Most traders think a bad day starts when the market turns against them, but that's not true. Bad days start long before the first trade. They start in the mind in those quiet moments before the first click. Because when you carry the past into the present, you're no longer trading the chart. You're trading your emotions. And that's when the spiral begins. Every trader knows the feeling. You make one bad trade and suddenly everything changes. You rush to fix it. You start clicking faster. You stop following your plan. And the harder you try to correct the mistake, the deeper you fall into it. This is not a market problem, it's a state problem. The human brain was never built for constant uncertainty. We crave control. And when we lose it, even for a second, the body reacts like it's in danger. Heart rate rises, breathing shortens, thoughts speed up, and all logic disappears. The market becomes a battlefield for our nervous system. So here's the truth. The problem isn't that bad days happen. The problem is that we don't know how to start them. We think we can force a fresh start with willpower, but willpower doesn't work on emotion. Emotion doesn't respond to logic. That's why you can tell yourself, I'll stay calm and still break every rule 5 minutes later. Because the mind isn't calm just because you say it is. It's calm when the body believes it is. That's where the cold start protocol begins. It's not a strategy for trading. It's a system for your mind, a way to reset your internal temperature before the market starts to heat it. When you wake up on a bad day, your goal isn't to find trades. It's to find center. You don't need to win the morning. You just need to protect it. The market will test your focus, your patience, your control. But the hardest test is always the one before the open, the test of self-awareness. Because every trader walks into the market with a certain temperature. Too cold, and you hesitate. Too hot, and you overreact. The art of the cold start is learning how to bring yourself back to neutral. There's a psychological truth every experienced trader knows. Your first reaction determines your entire day. If your first decision comes from fear, every decision after it will be a defense. If your first decision comes from frustration, every action will try to undo something. But if your first decision comes from awareness, the market has no power over you. That's the difference between being in control and being controlled. Think about it. How many times have you woken up already tilted? You tell yourself, I'll be careful today. But deep down, you're still replaying yesterday's mistakes. You're not looking at the chart. You're looking for redemption. You want to prove something to the market, to yourself, to that version of you that lost control last time. That's how the ego sneaks in. not loudly but quietly, in the form of urgency, in the form of wanting to get it back. The cold start protocol exists to stop that loop before it starts. Here's the secret most traders miss. You can't fix emotion with logic. You have to fix emotion with awareness. When you wake up on a bad day, your mind is noisy. But noise is not the enemy unconsciousness is. The goal isn't to silence your mind, it's to observe it. You sit with the discomfort. You watch your thoughts rise and fall like price waves. You don't chase them. You don't fight them. You just see them for what they are, signals, not commands. And in that moment of observation, you create distance between you and your emotion. That's where clarity begins. The cold start is not about suppressing emotion. It's about cooling it down enough to see clearly through it. Because when your emotions are hot, they distort everything they touch. Risk looks smaller. Opportunity looks bigger. Discipline looks unnecessary. But when the mind cools, everything returns to its real size. The same chart that looked dangerous now looks neutral. The same loss that felt unbearable now looks logical. Nothing changed except your temperature. There's a moment right before every bad decision where awareness could have intervened, but didn't. You know that moment. The flash before the click. The voice that says, don't do it. And the other voice that says, just this once. The cold start protocol is designed to create space between those two voices, to give awareness enough time to choose. Because in trading, success isn't about speed. It's about timing, not just in the market, but in the mind. We've been taught to prepare our setups, but we were never taught to prepare ourselves. We warm up the charts, but we forget to cool down our thoughts. That's why even the best strategy can collapse if the mind behind it is overheated. You can't trade objectively when you're emotionally loaded, and yet that's exactly when most traders hit buy. The cold start flips that script. It teaches you to do the hardest thing in trading: pause. Pause before reaction. Pause before decision. Pause before you turn a bad morning into a worse day. Every trader needs a ritual, not to make them superstitious, but to make them self-aware. Because your ritual is your anchor. When the world feels unstable, it's the one thing that doesn't move. That's why the cold start protocol isn't just a mindset hack. It's a way to build emotional consistency in an inconsistent environment. You can't predict the market, but you can predict how you show up for it. And that's where mastery begins. When you learn to start a bad day right, you stop fighting yourself. You stop turning discomfort into disaster. You stop making your emotions the main character. And slowly you start to see that every bad day isn't a punishment, it's an invitation. An invitation to practice awareness, to test your discipline, to reset the relationship between your mind and the market. Because every time you reset consciously, you're building a new reflex, a calmer, wiser version of yourself who knows how to begin again. When everything feels wrong, when the weight of yesterday still sits in your chest, you don't need motivation. You need structure. The mind is not your enemy. It just needs a protocol, a sequence to follow when emotions are louder than logic. This is the cold start protocol, a system built for the days when nothing feels right, a system that begins not on the screen, but inside the nervous system. Phase 1, cool the mind. You cannot think clearly when your body is in survival. So before you look at a single chart, you must lower your emotional temperature. Take your hands off the mouse. Step away from the glow of the screens. Breathe slowly, deliberately, until you can feel your heartbeat begin to match your breath. Because as long as your body believes it's in danger, your brain will trade like it's being hunted. Cooling the mind isn't about relaxation. It's about recalibration. When the nervous system is calm, the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, comes back online. And that's the part you trade best with. So start with a ritual. Maybe it's a walk, maybe it's a shower, maybe it's 3 minutes of silence before you open your terminal. The point isn't what you do. It's that you signal to your brain, we're safe now. We're starting clean. When you cool the body, the noise in the mind begins to fade. And for the first time that morning, you can see clearly again. Phase 2, reflect, don't react. Once the temperature drops, clarity starts to return, but the danger isn't gone because the ego is still awake. It whispers, today has to be better. It can't happen again. You need to make it right. Those are not strategies. Those are reactions. Before you trade, write 3 simple lines. What happened yesterday? How do I feel right now? What rule will I refuse to break today? These questions are not for performance. They are for perspective. They bring your awareness out of the fog of emotion and back into conscious thought. When you reflect instead of react, you reclaim authority over your internal dialogue. You remind yourself that feelings are temporary, but reactions can be permanent. A trader who reflects is a trader who remembers who they are before the chaos starts talking. Reflection is a mirror. It doesn't judge, it just shows. And when you look into that mirror with honesty, you'll often realize something simple. You're not tired of trading. You're tired of fighting yourself. The market didn't drain you. Your resistance did. Once you see that clearly, the weight of the day starts to lift because awareness is lighter than frustration. Phase 3, start small. Now that your mind is calmer and your awareness has returned, it's time to move but gently. Most traders try to fix bad days by doing more. They think action will create confidence. But the truth is, confidence doesn't come from speed. It comes from control. Start your day with a small position, half your normal size, something light enough that your emotions can breathe. If your first trade goes wrong, you'll stay composed. If it goes right, you'll rebuild rhythm without feeding your ego. That's how you retrain your nervous system. You teach it that calm is your new default state, not urgency. This is how professionals operate. They don't need to feel powerful to act. They just act according to structure. Starting small isn't a sign of weakness. It's the mark of awareness. Because only a disciplined mind knows that restraint is strength. There's a rule you can adopt right now. For the first 2 trades of a bad day, cut your size in half. Focus not on profit, but on process. If both trades are executed cleanly, not profitably but correctly, then and only then you're allowed to scale back up. This method doesn't just protect capital, it protects confidence, because you're proving to yourself that discipline can exist even in discomfort. And that proof is the foundation of trust. Phase 4, reframe the day. By now you've cooled the body. You've reflected on the mind. You've acted with restraint. The last phase is perspective. Most traders enter bad days with the wrong goal to recover. They want to undo the pain, to make today better than yesterday. But that mindset keeps you trapped in emotional debt. The cold start protocol teaches you to redefine the goal. Today isn't about recovery. It's about regulation. It's not about profit. It's about presence. When you stop needing to make money to feel okay, you start making decisions that keep you okay. That's how emotional stability compounds. Reframe the day like this. Today I'm not here to win. I'm here to trade well even when I don't feel well. That single reframe changes everything. It shifts the power back to you. Because you can't control the market, but you can control how you enter it. A calm mind can survive chaos. But a chaotic mind will turn even calm markets into storms. Reframing is about releasing attachment. You let go of what you expected and return to what's real. You stop trying to control outcomes and start observing reactions. You stop needing to be right and start needing to be aware. That's when you rediscover neutrality, the trader's most valuable state. Every time you follow this protocol, cool, reflect, start small, reframe, you're teaching your mind a new pattern. You're showing it that bad days are not threats. They're practice. Practice for awareness. Practice for restraint. Practice for the moments when emotion wants to lead and you choose not to follow. Imagine if you treated every bad morning not as something to survive, but as an opportunity to strengthen your process. You wouldn't dread them anymore. You'd respect them because bad days aren't punishment, they're training. They're how the market asks you, can you stay conscious when everything around you is shaking? Every time you answer yes, you grow stronger than the chart. So on those mornings when you wake up with tension in your chest, remember this. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. The cold start protocol isn't about performance. It's about peace. It's a reminder that trading is not a battle against the market. It's a conversation with yourself. And the quality of that conversation determines everything. At some point in every trader's journey, you realize that the hardest part of this game isn't reading the chart, it's reading yourself. The chart never lies. It moves, it breathes, it changes, but it never lies. It's the mind that bends reality. It's the mind that creates stories about what the market should be doing. And that's where suffering begins. Because when your expectations rise faster than your awareness, disappointment becomes inevitable. Every bad day is a mirror. It doesn't show you your weakness, it shows you where you're still attached. Attached to winning, attached to proving, attached to control. You think you're frustrated because you lost money. But the truth is you're frustrated because you lost the illusion of certainty. That illusion feels safe, but it's also the cage that keeps you reactive. When you break it, something uncomfortable happens. You have to meet the market as it really is, chaotic, indifferent, and beautifully neutral. And to meet that kind of truth, you need stillness. Stillness is the highest form of confidence. It doesn't need to prove, it doesn't need to chase, it simply acts from clarity. That's what the cold start protocol trains in you, not just composure, but clarity under pressure. Because markets don't reward brilliance, they reward balance. And balance only exists when awareness is stronger than emotion. Most traders wait for the perfect day to trade well. But the truth is reversed, you trade well first, and that's what makes the day perfect. Good days don't make you disciplined. Discipline makes your days good. Bad days don't destroy you. They reveal how strong your inner structure really is. You see, trading isn't just about profit and loss. It's about how you respond when life itself turns volatile. The same mind that panics in front of a chart will panic in front of uncertainty everywhere else. And the same mind that can breathe through a losing trade can breathe through anything. That's why trading psychology is really life psychology. The charts are only the mirror. You are the pattern. There's a line every mature trader understands. You don't need to control the market. You only need to control the version of you that meets it. That version changes every morning. Some days it's sharp. Some days it's foggy. Some days it just wants to survive. And that's okay. You're human before you're a trader. The goal isn't to suppress that humanity. It's to integrate it, to work with it instead of against it. That's what it means to start a bad day, right? The cold start protocol isn't about coldness. It's about awareness. It's about creating space between stimulus and response, between emotion and execution, between what happened and what happens next. That space is everything. In that space, you regain choice. And choice is the true currency of mastery. When you have it, you're free. When you lose it, you're reactive. The market measures that difference every day. Remember this. You don't rise to your highest level of potential. You fall to your lowest level of preparation. The cold start protocol is that preparation. It's the scaffolding that catches you when emotion tries to pull you back into chaos. And every time you use it, you remind your nervous system that awareness is stronger than adrenaline. There will always be bad days, days when you wake up heavy, days when everything you touch feels wrong, days when the market moves like it's mocking you personally. But those days are not the enemy, they are the teacher. They remind you that peace is not found in control, it's found in letting go of the need for control. The more you fight for control, the less control you have. The more you allow awareness, the more control returns on its own. That's the paradox every trader eventually learns. So the next time you feel that familiar tension rising, pause, step back from the chart, take one slow breath in and one slow breath out. Say quietly to yourself, I don't have to fix the market. I only have to meet it clearly, because clarity is profit. Even when the P&L is red, the real win is internal. It's not the day you make the most money. It's the day you don't let the market take your peace. That's the kind of profit that compounds forever. Every trader eventually understands the goal isn't to eliminate emotion. It's to stop emotion from eliminating you. That's emotional mastery. That's psychological discipline. And that's what turns trading from a chase for outcomes into a practice of awareness. When you see it that way, the market becomes something different, not a threat, but a mirror reflecting your growth. So on those bad days when the mind feels heavy and the charts feel cruel, remember you don't need a perfect start. You just need a cold one. Cool the mind. Reflect before you react. Start small. Reframe the day. That's it. That's the whole art. And with time, you'll notice something beautiful. Your worst days won't scare you anymore. They'll center you. They'll remind you that discipline is not the absence of emotion, it's the alignment of it. Because in the end, the market doesn't test your strategy. It tests your state. And if your state is grounded, no loss can shake it. That's when you finally understand what trading really is. Not a career, not a game, but a mirror one that reflects who you are when everything else is uncertain. Every morning, you have two choices: to repeat the cycle or to start again cold, conscious, and clear. That's the trader's true ritual. That's the meaning of mind over markets. Trade consciously. Trade patiently. And when the day feels heavy, begin again with awareness as your edge. Every trader faces the same storms, the red days, the noise, the doubt that whispers, maybe I've lost it. But storms aren't a sign of weakness. They're reminders that mastery isn't the absence of emotion. It's the ability to stay aware while emotion passes through. You don't have to control every day. You just have to start it right. Cool the mind. Reflect before you react. Start small. Reframe the day. And when the market feels like too much, remember, you can always begin again. Because every reset is a quiet victory. Every breath in awareness is profit. This is mind over markets. Trade with presence. Trade with patience. And when the noise returns tomorrow, meet it with stillness. That's the real cold start. That's the edge that never fades.